Hey for one, Eggman here with another video. And last night I held my first event for the Gundam card game. It was the beta meta with the inclusion of proxies being legal, just because I know that these beta boxes have been a pretty hot commodity and it's been tough for some people to get play sets or cards that they want. And I didn't want that to be a limiting factor for anyone joining this event either. So it was a lot of fun. We also did a live stream as well, which you can find out in the description if you want to find out the matches. I also will say, these were some pretty close matches that were really back and forth. I don't want to spoil the results of the video if you guys haven't seen it already, so make sure to check that out if you haven't and come back here to see some of the deck lists. But it was a lot of fun, and I really can't wait for the next event whenever we can do that. So also a couple real quick things. First, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. It does help the channel, and we do make a lot of Gundam content here as well. I also do want to say a big thank you to Eagle X for being my co-commentator, as well as Risu and Leon for being the judges. We wouldn't be able to run this event without them. We also have all of these deck lists on my website, Eggman Events, which is additionally linked in the description if you guys want it. And lastly, Eagle X is running their own Gundam tournament today, Wednesday, February 26th. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure to do so. He runs great events, and I know a lot of people were clamoring to get into the event that we're running for this one, and so here's another for anyone who missed it as well. So make sure to check it out, and I do appreciate all of their supports for these events as well. But jumping on into this, we did have a 64 player cap, which we hit this cap very quickly. 6 rounds of Swiss best of 1, and of that, of the top 8, and these are approximate archetypes because, you know, these are pretty tangible things in this game compared to something like Fusion World or One Piece where there's a leader to represent your deck. These are, you know, a little bit more tangible, but we have 4 that I would classify as like a blue-white strike Gundam, kind of like a blocker control style variant. We have 1 blue-green aggro. We have 1 green-white strike Gundam. We have 1 green-white of like the wing Gundam, and then also a mono-white version of Gundam Aerial, which I wasn't expecting anyone to run a mono color build. I know sometimes it's like 45 blue cards and like 4 green cards or vice versa, but I was not expecting a full mono build. And so only having one of them and them getting in the top 8, I think was really significant as well. And then we have the color breakdowns. Again, these are pretty surface level stats, but 26 people were playing green and white as their color combo, 23 with blue and white, 14 with blue and green, and 1 with the mono white. I also would say that I think if asked, the strongest color combination in my mind is blue and white. I know a lot of people are on green and white clearly, but if I was asked before this tournament, I would probably have said, oh, I think green and white is the weakest color combination of the 3. Blue just got so many good staple cards in my mind that I'm really surprised that green and white was the most brought color combination for an event like this too. So that's kind of just the over stats for a lot of this. We're going to go over the individual deck list. Last chance to stop the video in case you want to find out who wins on the live stream VOD, which again is linked in the description. But we do have these top 8. We're gonna go over all of these deck lists too, since they're all new, and I want to just go over them as well. But we do have the blue-green aggro taking the first place with Levi's list, so we're gonna look at that and jump on over to it. So this is again Levi's version of the blue-green aggro, and this is a really interesting list to see, especially just get into the finals. I have seen a lot of different versions of aggressive decks in this game in general, but this one felt a little bit interesting based on ratios too, and just kind of how we built this deck. A lot of cards that I was really surprised, and I said this on stream too, I have never seen Citizens take a stand in a card sleeve in my life. So not only this card being in the deck, but being very pivotal in some match points was very surprising for me. I do think like the burst effect to add it to your hand is very strong. We don't have a lot of those outside of pilots right now, and there were situations where that extra 2 AP made a whole lot of difference. So I also think it was kind of based on how Levi played the deck. He didn't overextend with his attackers. Sometimes he would just build a board and not attack with it, just to make sure that you got the trades that you wanted to, especially against some of the decks that were running more blockers. You didn't want to just be able to have to do like 2 trades into 1 blocker. He was really meticulous with how he set up his board, and I think really took advantage of how his build worked as well. So other than that, we do just have a lot of units. We're not running a lot of pilots either, right? We're only playing 3 copies of Char, which work really well with the copies of the Zaku 2, as well as the Gelgoog, being able to not only link with these, but also making it so you have the high maneuver, which is really great. So, you know, if you're a link unit, you do get that. Wing Gundam is just like a big bully for the late game, is very good too. This usually goes 1 for 1 Breach 5 is really great, and being able to attack active units that are level 4 or lower comes up a lot. And then we're only playing 4 bases with the Fall Mail. We are not trying to get to the late game with a lot of value, so it makes sense that we're not playing the white base. We're playing a copy of Show Resolve because this card is very strong if you need to re-establish, and again, a very interesting build for something that I wasn't, my radar wasn't really attuned to that. Last card I'll say is that I saw a lot of people playing the Rizal more than I was expecting. I haven't seen this card a lot, but I did see it pop up quite a bit for this event as just like a vanilla 4/3 that can push a lot of damage too. So other than that, congratulations to Levi for their win on this one. I thought this was a really interesting build, and it definitely worked out for them, so big congratulations there. Next up, we have our blue and white Strike Gundam. So we have Nick's version as well as Jan's version, Sam's version, and James's version of this deck. And again, this was my favorite color combination going on into this event. And these are pretty much how I build the decks that I have been doing. But there is still a good amount of variety within these builds as well. One thing is that I do see a lot of copies of Suletta in a lot of these, being able to not only get like your resource management, but having the extra 2 health comes up quite a bit. Specifically being able to have like the Ale Strike Gundam be a 5/6 is pretty nice. Sometimes getting the additional resource active comes up, but I don't think it comes up that often. It's mostly just the additional health that you get. And it made me think, like, when do we add, Bonager links to these decks instead of Suletta, just because we are able to get like that +2 HP as well. Though we are able to link with the Darlbald, which this showed up quite a bit for this event too. Not only is a 4/2 that can bounce a 1 HP like a token or something that just naturally has 1 HP back to hand, but you also do link with Academy trait, which is present with the Suletta, which is really strong. And then also the Naval Bombardment. I don't play this card very often, but this showed up pretty often too in these builds. But having the burst effect to give something AP -3, which in some scenarios means that you're taking 1 less damage that turn, or you're forcing a worse trade, or the action to choose 1 unit with blocker gets +3 AP, just means that you're able to use this to kind of push some damage on some of your blockers as well. But you even know, like, even though this is like a 50 card pool and we're just running like these pretty standard decks, there's some pretty good variety among these blue-white Strike Gundams too. So this is the version from Nick. We also have Jan's version running pretty similar. I would say that these 2 builds are pretty similar, just some minor ratio changes. But then when we go over to Sam's version of the deck, right, we aren't running anything like low end. We're starting with Rizal as like our low end, and then like a little bit more of the top end, having some more Cycle Show Resolve and Overflowing Affection. And then, a lot of people with 12 copies of Pilots, which I was also surprised about. I was usually capping out at like 8 or 10 copies. So having like this full suite of 12 of them really adds up very quickly. We are also playing like the bit on form here, which is able to, again, link with Suletta. So making it a 4/6 is pretty nice there too. And just being able to get that additional advantage. So I thought that was something remarkable. And then lastly, we got James's version. This is probably closer to the builds that I run personally. The fact that we do have this low end of the Demi Trainer, the fact that we have the Gun Tank and the Gun Cannon. I really like these cards in the deck. And we're only playing like these 7 pilots, but then we also have the Hayato are thoroughly damaged to help get some really good value trades. This is probably closer to how I would play the deck in general and what my builds look like. It's cool to see that this one also got like a 5/1 finish in an event like this. So congratulations to all of our blue-white Strike Gundam decks with Nick, Jan, Sam, and James. Big congratulations there. And then we also do have like another Wing Gundam leaning deck. So this is Zydeek's version of the deck here, and this obviously can be, it's a strike, but with like a little bit of wing. Wing's just kind of like our end game boss monster, I feel like, but we do run just so much of the strike stuff. So we run like the launcher and perfect strike and ale strike are just mean, right? The fact that they're blockers, the fact that they force good trades in your favor is really good, and I think helps out a lot, which also, like Kira being able to link with any of them is very strong. We still also are running the Dalbald and the Suletta, which is strong, and then the Hero Yui, which only links with the Wing Gundam, but being able to get that consistently is really helpful, which is why we're playing Overflowing Affection to help us draw into those a little bit deeper, and then our bases are Fall Mail and 2 copies of the Archangel. So, we are like a little bit more leaning to be like aggressive edged, so we don't need like the defensive of Archangel as much as just making more bodies with Fall Mail, but I thought this was an interesting list for it here. here. And then we also have another green-white build, but this is, again, Zydeek's version of the build, and congratulations for their X1 finish. This one is a little bit more, I think, like Wing Gundam centric. And the reason I say so is that we are running more green. The fact that we also are playing like the bird mode on top of like the Wing Gundam is nice. We're not playing the vanilla with it, but we do have like the aggressive edge with Char. And it's really interesting to see like early into this, right? One of the strongest combos I think people are saying were like the Wu Fei and the Shenlong, right? Were very strong for green, but most people have kind of moved away from that in order for some like more value throughout the game too. So again, Kira being a very strong pilot with Ailstrike and being able to make some favorable trades. We've got Hiro Yui again, which we have twice as many units we can link with, and then Char, which we can use for the Zaku too, as well as the Gelgoog is really strong there too. So I think this deck is still in a good spot. We're only playing Overflowing Affection as our only command here. We are playing also 8 copies of bases with the Earth House here, being able to make a link unit +1 AP, which can help you put some things in range for some really good trades. But generally, I think we're hitting the benchmarks for most of these, but just having like another one of these bases I think is strong too. So this is the build here from Andrew with their green and white, more Wing Gundam centric build, and congratulations for their X1 finish. And then lastly, we've got Austin's version of the mono white Gundam Aerial. And I said it earlier too, I wasn't expecting anyone to run mono color, and he had to DM me saying, hey, your Google form doesn't have an option for a monocolor, so I had to add it for specifically this build here. And I thought this was a really interesting build too. So one thing I'll say is that I don't think Aerial is like a little bit underwhelming in what the card set we have right now. I'm pretty sure that when we get the main set with set 1 in Sardex, there's going to be more tools, more commands we get to use with it, and it's a little bit easier to set it up too. But without that, we can be a little bit clunky. We are running a couple more commands and also the Hawk of Endymion. Being able to use this card to just function as another event. Another command for our drop area is very good for us there. We are running again like the Darbalde. We are running like the Michaelis, which Michaelis is secretly the better card for this deck, right? The fact that the Gundam Aerial is like a 3/3 that just reduces it into like a 1-drop that you can play. The Michaelis being able to convert itself into a 5/5 is a 4/4 that you're able to make it into a 5/6 with Soletta, I think is a little bit more impactful for what we have. But then our top end, we're still playing like the Gundam Aerial stuff, the Ailstrike and Perfect Strike Gundam. We have the Earth House again, because like one really unfortunate thing about the Soletta and Aerial is that they become a 4/5 when linked, with which generally 5 is a really good benchmark for being able to get over some attackers, being able to get rid of a base in one attack. And because of that, I think the Earth House being able to get that link +1 AP helps out quite a bit too. So I don't have much more to say. I think this was a really interesting build. This was not one I was expecting to do to get into the top 8, but being able to get there with a monocolored build, I think is something that's really impressive as well. So that's going to be it though for the top 8 deck list. I think there's a really good variety. It's obviously, I think, clear that Strike Gundam is one of the stronger cards in this, and a lot of people are playing kind of a more white base with the ability to just block her up, right? We only have one deck in our top 8 that wasn't running white, which I thought was interesting, and that's pretty telling for how I think this beta meta is looking right now too. But obviously this is just one event with 64 players. There could be more to discover with this, and then this is just the introductory to how the Gundam card game works. And when we get this first set in this summer, we'll have more and more cards, data, and just, I think, good times as well. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I really can't wait to see more of what this game has in store, and I hope you guys are excited as well. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.